And welcome to
You have to
May 15, 2025 CRA Board Meeting. We, as you can see, there are 3 of us on the dais. One is on the injured reserve list, and the other is out of chambers and will be joining us telephonically, I believe. And so I need to entertain a motion to allow Commissioner Porter to participate telephonically. Okay, it's been properly moved and second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And is she connected? Okay, Commissioner Porter, can you hear me?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and immediately call the order. Mr. Cox, do we have any agenda modifications?
Yes, ma'am. We have one modification for under 3.01 under presentations. Jennifer Painter with the City Attorney's Office will give a update on the legislative session regarding CRAs.
Okay, thank you. Any other modifications?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to do that under 3.01, or we're just going to add it as 3.02?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 3.02s.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so we'll now move forward with our presentations. Is Mr.
Mr. McQueen said he was running late, a few minutes late, so.
We'll take it when he comes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll move on to 3.02. So Jennifer, thank you for joining us, and tell us what's going on across the street, girl.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. I'm Jenny Pena with the City Attorney's Office. We have been monitoring the CRA bills this legislative session, specifically House Bill 991 and Senate Bill 1242. As you know, the bill started out with some unfavorable language that would have prevented the CRAs from initiating any new projects or issuing new debt after October of this year. Through the legislative process, the Senate amended that language favorably to really just prevent CRAs from expanding their boundaries and expending funds on things such as events, parades, and concerts. The House did not follow suit, and it stuck with its initial language. Neither bill made it to the floor, so both bills died at the end of session. However, the House added its CRA language to Senate Bill 110, but the Senate declined to concur with the House's language. Senate Bill 110 is part of the extended session, so while the CRA bills are most likely dead, there still remains a vehicle should the House decide to put that language back in. We will continue to monitor throughout the extended session and let staff know if there are any changes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And for those who may be listening, it has been a real rocky ride. I've had some conversations with our local delegation. Actually had a talk to Senator Simon, and I've also, thanks to Director Cox and his staff, was able to provide some information. And Representative Tent told me she used that information to argue from the floor about, supporting us. And so that was very, very helpful. And so we're hoping that we're going to be very, very quiet and hope that 110 does not resurrect this issue. So, and also the Florida League of Cities has been following it as well. And so they've been keeping us up to date also. So thank you for that update. Colleagues, are there any questions regarding Commissioner Porter? You have any questions?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on then to item 4.01, which is public comment on agenda items. Do we have any speakers on agenda items?
We do, Madam Chair. I actually have 3 speaker cards on agenda items, and there is 1 speaker card for non-agenda.
Okay. All right, we'll call our first speaker.
And you want to do just the ones for on the agenda at this time?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Our first speaker is Mr. Kayla Norris Barber on agenda item number 5.01. And again, Mr. Kayla Norris Barber on agenda number 7.02. Okay. If you would, name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. The light on the dais will go from green to amber yellow to red, at which time please conclude your comments.
Kayla Norris Barber, 527 West Brevard Street. And agenda item number 501, which is on your consent, I noticed that in your FY 2024 budget, there was a line item of $210,000 for community policing. after, which I think is a great thing to do, and I don't have anything against policing. But after we pulled the covers back a little bit, it was revealed that that funding was being used for snow cone and cops program, crime watch meetings outside the district, crime prevention training, extra patrols, and public safety cameras. Now, the language in the statutes clearly states that CRA funding for community policing should be used for innovative community policing, emphasis on innovative. And in my view, there's nothing innovative about anything on this list. So I would simply ask that we do a better job at what we use the money for community policing for, and ensure that it's for things that are truly innovative. Because while this does not approach abuse, it is clearly improper. Want me to go for the next agenda item?
Yes, sir.
Agenda item number 7.02. That's the Frenchtown Fleur de Lis Monument. This item is supposed to be the cornerstone for the gateway to the Frenchtown community. Actually, where we're locating this monument, which I have some really strong reservations about whether the monument represents gateway to Frenchtown. It's being positioned at Georgia and Macomb Street. Really, the gateway to Frenchtown is at Tennessee and Macomb Street. Now, staff has said that there are items that prohibit or may be cost prohibitive from erecting a sign, basically what the gateway started out to be, was just a sign that would recognize the historic Frenchtown district. Putting it at Georgia and Macomb, where you almost, you halfway into Frenchtown, nobody's really going to see it. You don't know you're in Frenchtown until you get there, if people who aren't familiar with Frenchtown. So I think the things that were mentioned for not putting it there are mostly excuses. They're not things that can't be overcome. And I think it's important that we recognize the Frenchtown community and where it starts at Frenchtown, at Macomb and Tennessee.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Our next speaker, please.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Cheryl Collier-Brown, agenda item number 7.7.02.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off what Mr. Barber just mentioned. And at the CAC meeting, you will see that I was the lone dissent because of the fact intersection of Macomb and Tennessee is the gateway, as Kenny has mentioned. And I talked with Ashley earlier, just a few minutes ago. If that LaFleur sign goes down on Georgia, hip, hip, hooray. But I want something there to identify when you enter Frenchtown from the intersection of Macomb and Tennessee, you need to acknowledge that, because these are some of the words I said. It's no longer really Frenchtown anymore. You see all the student housing there, et cetera, and it doesn't even have the ambiance of Frenchtown. So I know that we cannot dictate how the builders build their structures because they're not really receiving city funding. But we need something to acknowledge that when you leave Tennessee Street and on Macomb, you're entering what was Frenchtown. Yeah, in our minds it's Frenchtown, but when I ride through there, it's not the same. And I understand growth is inevitable. I've told you all that, but sometimes some things we need to do to kind of pacify those of us who are still there. And so I would like to see a sign indicating that you're about to enter Frenchtown off that intersection of Macomb and Tennessee. Now, I know they were saying that the LaFleur sign, it was going to cost money. They could not accommodate it at that particular sighting there. Okay, fine. But I want to see something there to let people know when you leave Tennessee Street on Macomb, and I know I keep repeating that, and I will constantly repeat it, that I want to see people know that they're coming into Frenchtown. Because when they turn in, they're going to say, well, is it really Frenchtown? Because it don't look it. So that's what my pet peeve was, and it's very seldom I get up here with one, so that's what I'm at. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker, please.
On unagended items, you want to take those now? 'Cause otherwise, those were the last speaker cards on comments on
Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll go, how many unagenda speakers do we have?
2 so far.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and take the
All
unagenda.
right, thank you. We have Mr. Matt Bryant. If you would, name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. And then followed behind him will be Ms. Tawana Thompson.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Matt Bryant. I'm here on behalf of MDL Tallahassee. I'm here to talk to y'all today because MDL owns a property at 730 West Gaines Street. It's on the corner of Gaines and Lorraine. It's kind of where all the warehouses currently are, and they're seeking redevelopment of it. That property is in the downtown community redevelopment area, and it's already been site plan approved for a 184 multifamily unit residential development. Recently, on April 22nd, we submitted a request for project assistance. It was summarily denied. And so what I'm here to talk about is asking for the board to direct staff to review that proposal again with MDL and the development team, have a meeting and bring back a full proposal for the board's consideration. Now, you're probably wondering what the request for project assistance was, and it wasn't for any money from the CRA, it was only looking for tax incentives. And the form of those tax incentives were gonna come in the way of, once the project is completed, asking for an abatement from the increased revenue to what the property currently generates. The current generation is about $5,000 in taxes, so a good amount, but after the project's completed, it'll be valued at around $55 million, generating around $243,000 in taxes. So this site is a contaminated site. It's gonna have a lot of sunk costs to develop it, no matter whether it's MDL or someone else. The property is bounded on all sides by roadways, which increase the construction costs. Obviously, it has to go straight up. You can't just block off the streets to build this project over the course of multiple years. The CRA sunsets in 2034. We anticipate the project to be completed around 28 or 29. So the abatement won't be for a terribly long time, but it does help reduce the risk to this developer who is completely invested in the project. Without that, it probably remains an undeveloped, contaminated parcel for a good amount of time, and obviously only generating the few taxes that it does at the time. Just reading through my notes to make sure I've covered everything. We have the request for project assistance. If anyone would like a copy of it, I have copies. I'm a little out of my form, so I don't know how to pass those on to the dais. But that is our ask, is to have staff review this with the development team, take another look at it, talk to us, and bring back a proposal for the full board.
Thank you. Your time is
There you
up.
go.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Thanks for coming. Lorraine and Gain Street.
Yes.
This is next to Hotel Indigo?
I believe so.
Is it, I'm trying to remember, is it the same side as Hotel Indigo, or is it the other side of Lorraine?
It's on the east side of Lorraine. It kind of has that weird,
Okay, yeah, that'd be on the other side.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Cool. Why was it denied?
it was denied because, at least the reasoning given is because CRA funds are not expended on student housing. We're not asking for any funds we're just asking for an abatement once completed.
Got it. Okay.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker, please.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Tawana Thompson, followed behind Mr. LaRodrick McQueen on an unagended item.
So, Mr. McQueen is on unagenda items, or he's going to do the report for Greater Frenchtown, South
I
Side?
think he's going to do both. Is that correct, Mr. McQueen?
He had a private comment.
Oh, okay, different, okay, all right.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm
morning.
here on behalf of the Tallahassee Housing Authority. The city and the county have funded a master plan that we've been doing for Springfield Apartments. And what we wanted to do is we're trying to get on the June agenda for both the city and the county for our architect and planners to come present the final draft of the master plan for Springfield Apartments. We've been working on a master plan with the residents there, the Griffin Heights community stakeholders, the schools, neighbors, since October. And what we've come up with through several public meetings is a draft plan. We've worked out the process. And if you're interested, there is a website called springfieldforward.com that documents all of the work we've been doing. It videos all of the meetings that we've had, the working boards that people have been engaged in, their selections, their choices, their likes, their dislikes, their input. And you can even provide your input on the website, but it's very interactive. I'm here today primarily because the CRA Frenchtown boundary ends right at the back of Springfield Apartments. Doing housing development is going to be more difficult if the property is not included in the CRA. The redevelopment plan that we've worked on involves an additional 8 acres that the Housing Authority owns that is on the north end of the Springfield Apartments. That portion, that tract of land that the Housing Authority already owns is in the CRA boundary. And so what we wanted to do is see if your staff can do a feasibility or something to look at the possibility of adding in the property, the Springfield Apartments, because if we request a CRA fund as part of the redevelopment, it'll just include the vacant land, the 8 acres that we already own. It wouldn't include the redevelopment of the actual buildings. And so we're just here to ask staff to, if you could direct staff to look at that.
Thank you. Any more speakers?
Mr. LaRodrick
I'm sorry,
McQueen.
our next speaker. We'll do your unagenda item first, and then we'll go back to your report out.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mayor Daley, Commissioner Matlow, and staff. Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of a citizen, not as my role as CAC chair. I too are in support of the expansion of the CRA boundaries to incorporate the current Springfield apartment area that Ms. Thompson mentioned. I attended those community workshops and thought it was an amazing project and supports the direction that we're trying to go with the CRA to try to improve and expand our low-income housing support within this community. We at the school board, we are going to look to support it as well. We've asked the Housing Authority to partner with us to look at some housing set aside for our teachers and some of our lower income hourly employees, so that we can kind of help improve the housing area, help improve housing for our staff as well. So I came to speak on that again as a citizen, not as a CAC chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have any additional speakers?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Mr. McQueen, why don't we go ahead and circle back and get your report out from the CAC?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. The meeting that was held on April 14th was a lengthy meeting. It was kind of our normal meeting where we went over few of our grants that were presented before us and approved by staff. One was for the commercial property program in the shipyard area. I'm sorry, the freight yard area off of Railroad Avenue. That item was approved. And the other item was another property off of Old Bainbridge Road at 1104 Old Bainbridge Road, which also was another commercial property improvement grant program. The other item that was presented to us by staff, which was discussed by a few of our speakers today, kind of got off topic on that. The item that was presented to us by staff was to transfer the property over from the CRA over to the city. But I think as passionate as we are about Frenchtown, it kind of muddied the waters regarding the interest of Frenchtown, where Frenchtown starts and stops. But we did approve the the property to be transferred over from the CRA to the city. And I was voted again as chair for the next year.
Yes.
Next year, as chair for the CAC, and that completes my report.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
We're going to add another 0 to your pay. Thank you. Okay, all right, we'll go on, and thank you for that report out, and thank you all for your service at the CAC. And I understand that we do not have a report from the DRC at this meeting.
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right, so we're going to move to our consent agenda items.
Madam Chair, I'd like to pull 501, please.
Okay. We're pulling 501. Are there any, there's only one other, so any need to pull the other? Okay. Hearing none, we'll accept a motion to accept the consent agenda item.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Okay, and so we'll now go to items pulled from consent, which is agenda item number 6. Now it's 6.01, which is 5.01 that was pulled. Mayor, you pulled it? You want to?
Thank you, and I fully intend to make the motion to approve it. I just wanted to speak to the comments. Mr. Barber, you came and passionately spoke at the podium in regard to our community policing efforts, and I just want to go on the record saying I disagree with you. I think our community policing efforts are working. They are one tool in the toolbox of a holistic approach to violent crime in our community. I am very proud of our Community First program. I'm very proud of the hard work that the citizens have put in. I'm very proud of the work that the CRA has put in. And I'm very proud of the Tallahassee Police Department, the oldest continuous accredited police department in the United States of America. I stand behind the efforts. I recognize that your comments are subjective in nature, and we are all entitled to our opinion of what we think is working or not working. I'm just simply saying I disagree. I think it is working, and I'm going to support the issue as we move forward. With that, I'd like to make a motion in support of staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second that we accept the agenda item 6.01 with the staff recommendation. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, Greater Frenchtown Southside District Policy Formation and Direction. 7.01, approval of commercial property improvement program grant for a freight yard. Okay, Mr. Cox?
Yes, our principal planner, Elise Fisher, will give a presentation on the project.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
So we're going to take a look at the Commercial Property Improvement Grant Program application that we received for the freight yard project. So just a little reminder on this program. This was approved at this CRA board meeting on August 22nd, 2024, to go into effect for this fiscal year. It provides eligible commercial property owners and tenants for up to $200,000 for exterior or interior improvements or site improvements. For requests that are over $30,000, they do still get that $20,000 no match. And anything over $100,000 is secured by a mortgage and subject to restrictive covenants. So this is the first application we've received for this fiscal year. The location is at the corner of Railroad Avenue and St. Francis Street, known as the Freight Yard Project. Specifically for this request, we're looking at that, what is in the red box there. It's for the parking lot. And they're proposing to screen it with blank canvases that can be used for mural art, and then also providing solar panels that will provide power to the other site. And they're going to do some landscaping and increase lighting. And then in addition, you'll see that blue shipping container, and they're going to complete that build out, which can be used for commercial space, either for their existing tenant or an opportunity for new business to move in there. So here's just some more renderings. So you can see those solar panels that they're providing, and those kind of frame in those canvases. The property owner has several murals on site already and has worked with local artists to complete those. So he plans to either offer that to those artists that have already completed projects there or work with COCA to find additional artists to complete those murals. And they will kind of be rotational as well. So they'll be changing and just provide another art element to Freight Yard. Staff reviewed this project proposal and found that it was consistent with the guidelines, with the GFS plan, and the Florida statute. We see that it addresses 3 priority areas of the plan, including economic development, just because it does currently have office space, and the new space will provide an opportunity for another business or growth of the existing tenant. Public safety, because of the improved lighting around the existing parking lot, and then quality of life, in that it's promoting the arts and culture of the All Saints District. We did take this to the CAC for their review and recommendation on April 14th. The committee members did express some concerns about the public benefit of this project, but after further discussion, they did make a motion to accept staff recommendation and recommend approval of the project. And the property owner followed up with some of those concerns, stating that the parking lot will primarily serve the existing tenant, but they don't plan to tow, and during non-office hours, it will be available for the public to park there. And he does intend to provide exterior bike parking for the public to use as well. And then in addition to those mural spaces being available for local artists and promoting the arts of the All Saints District. So with that, staff recommendation is to approve the application request of $148,700 to complete the exterior improvements to the property located at the southeast corner of Railroad Avenue and St. Francis Street. So I'm available for any questions. I believe the property owner is also on the call, so if you have any questions for him, he's available.
Okay. Colleagues?
I'll move approval.
Okay. Okay, it's been properly moved and second that we accept staff recommendation. All in favor of the motion on the table, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you. Motion carries. Next is 7.02, which will be the Frenchtown Monument. I didn't take French, so I'm going to just skip that part and just say it's going to be the Frenchtown Monument in French. I see Ashley Edwards moving forward.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Cox?
Yes, so Ashley Edwards with Parks and Recreation Department will explain the project a little more in depth to you all.
Okay.
Good morning,
Welcome, Ashley.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Like we just saw each other just recently, didn't we?
We're just here, weren't we? I'm going to turn things over to our team. I've got John Baker and Jean Lane from our Neighborhood Affairs Division. They've got some brief informational slides for you, and then we're happy to answer any questions.
Okay, can you also address some of the comment that were made?
Yes, ma'am, and I think in a nutshell, and then we'll show a slide here that I think will help illustrate it, there was not room for the fleur-de-lis monument on the corner of Tennessee Street due to some of the infrastructure, the public infrastructure that's already in place. However, as I was telling one of the speakers earlier, I think there's an opportunity to look at the possibility of a entranceway type of sign there, and that's something that we can certainly look at. And I think when you see the slide that shows the infrastructure there, you'll see the constraints that we're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Good morning, Madam Chair, CRA Board. My name is Jean Lane. All right. So it's today we're asking to authorize the commencement of the site design and permitting for the Fleur-de-Lis Monument over there in Frenchtown and transferring the property to the City of Tallahassee. So back in 2017, the City Commission directed the Tallahassee, Leon County Planning Department to go ahead and do a placemaking study in Frenchtown. Pretty much there was concerns of the student housing developments and multifamily developments that were happening in the community. So they wanted the study to be done just because the people felt that they were being impeded on by so much things happening in that area as far as student housing and multifamily development. So first thing first, we wanted to make sure that we address is that there is funding directly for this project that was given by Landmark Properties when the standard was built. So there's $50,000 that's allocated to this project, and we just want to make sure that we kind of put that out front. But back in 2017, during the citizens input portion of the city commission meeting, Landmark Properties did commit to $50,000 for this project here. And what came out of it was the Fleur-de-Lis monument itself. So the monument initially was supposed to be right here on the corner of Virginia and Macomb. So not necessarily directly on the corner, but a little down the ways off of the sidewalk. But there was concerns directly from the community later on that felt that if the monument was built there near the standard or on the standard property itself, that it would become one, and people would think that the Fleur-de-Lis Frenchtown monument would be the same thing as the standard, but even though they're two separate things. So the community gave us input and said, we don't feel like this should be here and that we should find another place to put it. So when they told us that, they charged us with that thing, that project, so we went looking around. So we explored a few sites. One very similar to what a few people said here is Macomb in Tennessee. But as you can see in this picture here, there's some infrastructure in place. There's a fire hydrant, there's a utility box, there's a light pole, there's a traffic pole. So there was a great cost associated with that, trying to put the monument there or trying to figure out if the monument would be able to go there. The cost that's associated with moving all these infrastructure is great. I mean, like in the hundreds of thousands to move everything here. But also I just wanted to make a point that the monument itself is 13 feet 2 inches. So if that was to go there, now we run into the issue of traffic triangle, the site traffic triangle, not being able to see around it. So we explored other places. What came from there too is Casana's Village, which is right up the street, has a nice open area right behind what is going to be the Ashmore store, 507 West Brevard Street, which is the former Ashmore store, but we could not get approval pretty much to move forward because Casana was like, they're not gonna give us approval. So then from there, it was brought to our attention by a community member that there is some space across the street that that's been vacant for years, and we should probably take a look at that. And that's right here on the corner of Georgia and Old Bainbridge. There's a couple boxes that's highlighted here. There's a blue box, very wide, that's CRA-owned property. We're not talking about that. But to the southeast of that, there's a triangular shaped property that is currently CRA-owned property. Above that is another perfect triangle shape that is the City of Tallahassee-owned property. And to the very bottom, there is a right-of-way that is a right-of-way, of course. So we were told to look at this site right here and see if there's anything that can happen here since it's been vacant for so long. People use it as a cut-through, it's just vacant. And there is a Soul Voices monument that's already there. So we took a look at it, and thing about this is it's hard to develop a space like this for future use. Because of the shape and the terrain and everything else, it's kind of hard to develop. So we thought that this would be a great place to put it. Also, it would accompany, which is that looks like 518, which is, we've spoken to Stephen Cox and his staff that there's possibly a chance for that to be developed by the CRA later on down the road. So we felt that if the property adjacent to it on the right side, the CRA, the city owned and a right of way, were developed into this monument park and everything else, that it would complement whatever's happening on the left side of it. So we're not necessarily talking about the perfect square, which is 518. We're talking about on the right side, which is the shape that's pretty hard to build on. So when we talk about Frenchtown, this is the logo, the symbol that has been adopted by the Frenchtown community, and this is what the monument itself is going to look like. So on the corner of Georgia and Macomb, this is a preliminary site conceptual design that we worked through with Design Works, just getting some ideas from the community and getting a feel for it, and a way to develop this corner here. The biggest thing about this corner here is it maximizes both the right-of-way and the CRA parcel currently, and the City of Tallahassee parcel, and uses that triangular shape. The thing about this one also is currently there is a desired path and a desired line that people use as a shortcut to kind of go through it. So we kind of maximize this here with that long path that you see on the back end. We think that putting benches and lights and just making it a grand statement itself would add to the value of Frenchtown and actually act as a corridor and a gateway into Frenchtown. Now, it does also help maintain the site triangle because we're far enough set back to where the monument itself, that is 30 feet 2 inches, does sit back and sit. If you look at that square right there, that's exactly where the monument itself is going to sit. Now, I know we're talking about the monument, but it's more so also the plaza in itself. It's a space to house the monument, which is going to be used as a park, a relaxation area, somewhere you could kind of just go and relax, sit down, view what's going on. But then this also makes a great statement because you can see it. Like as you drive by north and south, east and west, you don't miss it. You know that it's there. And this is the rendering of the monument itself. So like I said, it is 13 feet 2 inches. So it is a large monument, but that's what we wanted. We wanted something that could grab your eye, grab your attention, and let you know that you are in Frenchtown. And once again, it is the adopted symbol of Frenchtown. So that's what we decided to go on. It is a concrete base with a metal structure on top, and there's going to be panels that talks about what's going on in Frenchtown, what's have gone in Frenchtown on those triangular panels between the actual fleur-de-lis and the brick bottom. All right. And I do have John Baker here also that can help answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
You want to make one more?
I'd like to just clarify a couple things. I did have a question from one of the community members before the presentation. Actually, it's one of the staff members. That is the fleur-de-lis going to be red? It's red in this rendering. That has not, the color has not been determined. We actually anticipate it's probably most likely going to be black or have some bronze elements in it to complement the brickwork. And the other thing I also wanted to just be very clear about, we're very appreciative and thankful for our partners with community beautification. Mr. Lane had mentioned kind of call this a park. It's really going to be a plaza area, similar to the Fred Lee Statue Plaza area that's also located in Frenchtown. It will actually be maintained by community beautification. We're very appreciative of their willingness to support this project as well. And we're happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Okay. Mr. Baker, you want to add to that?
Thank you. I just want to make a point here. The monument was designed by the Frenchtown community. Ann Roberts, bless her soul, spent a lot of time working on this. The inscription that will be around the monument was drafted and crafted by her. And she said, Mr. Baker, please don't change anything. So this is a product of Frenchtown. Granted, it's far in, but it's due to the challenges that we have of locating a sign closer to Tennessee and Macomb. We have discussed this with the CAT leaders, have their support, and in fact, this site was recommended by the group. Take a look at this site for us.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cox? Colleagues, any questions, concerns? Director Matlow?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ashley, you mentioned a possibility of an gateway entrance sign at Tennessee and Macomb. What type of thought have we given to that and being able to say something like that?
In talking with the speakers this morning, that's something I think we could look at. You see the infrastructure that's there and that's constrained, and obviously, you know, the city has a sign ordinance. There's also sightline traffic engineering kind of issues that have to be looked at. I think that that's something we can go back and look at, though, because we would have the flexibility to size and space it in a way that would fit that space and fit that entrance area. So we're certainly absolutely willing to go and do that and see just can we come up with something that would work to meet the intent that the speakers have indicated. And I think it's possible.
Okay. And would that go through you as a city effort, or would that be a CRA?
It would be we would do it through our Neighborhood First efforts. And so there's several different pots of money there that would be available. We'd have to see if it ended up being CRA, if there was other dollars.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd support the exploration of how we can mark the entrance at Tennessee and Macomb.
Also, Ashley, on that corner, just south of the infrastructure is private-owned property that's owned by Ms. McMillan. And I'm very familiar with that parking lot. It has a historical preservation overlay that might prove to be a challenge as well, depending on what you have to do to make that happen, as well as being able to talk with her to see if she might be willing to do something there, because in order to put this public sign in that area, it sounds like it's going to require some right-of-way.
And if the right-of-way is not big enough, that's where the challenge would be, for sure. Okay. We're certainly willing to work through it and try to see if we can come up with something that will work.
Okay. All right. I don't know if well, is there more discussion, Mayor? Director Porter, do you have anything you'd like to add, or you have any questions?
No, Madam Chair, I support moving forward with this item, and I also support exploring whether a sign would be appropriate as well.
Okay. All right, we'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
It's been properly moved to accept the recommendation of staff and second it. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. All right. Moving right along to, we don't have anything for downtown, right?
No, ma'am, not right
Okay.
now.
So for both districts, we want to review 9.01, we want to review the project fiscal year 2026 CRA operating and capital budget.
Yes, ma'am. We
need the remote.
Yes, I'm sorry, I was trying to remember the name.
Yeah, my grandmama called it a clicker.
That's, So thank you, Madam Chair. I'll go over a brief presentation on the budget review. And again, this is based on early projections of what our funding levels will be for fiscal year 26. As you know, we'll get an update in April. I think we just got those numbers, and we'll get a final in June, I believe. So the numbers will change. Your final budget will reflect changes if new projects are presented to you all by that time. So first thing I wanted to mention to you all is that after the budget was approved, there were three projects that are considered budget amendments. The Tharp Street project, Tharp Street project for housing that Bethel Baptist is doing on that one for $400,000 for GFS. Then we have Bicentennial Park in our downtown area, and then the Coca mural makeover is $12,500 for each district, which ends up being $25,000. So those were approved after the adoption of the budget for this fiscal year. So for fiscal year 26 for the Greater Frenchtown Southside District, we're projecting revenues and reserves for about $11.5 million. As you can see, that our contractual commitments are really low right now. We've paid everybody that needs to be paid in regards to anything that we owe, so that is low right now. If we get any new projects that are multiple years, then that's where that will be reflected. Our non-contractual commitments, those are our CPIP and FACE programs. That also includes infill housing and infrastructure. So any of those kinds of projects that would be under non-contractual commitments. So as you can see, we have about $7 million that we have not designated where that's to go. We do believe that there are going to be several either housing or infrastructure-related projects that will come before you at our next meeting in August. So that number will go down quite a bit. We also have currently about $1 million in our Neighborhood First program. We may end up increasing that amount as well based on what the Providence Neighborhood Association works towards as far as identifying projects that they want to do. For downtown, right now, reserves and revenues is a little over $13 million. For contractual commitments, the 8.7, you'll see that's reflected in our TIF reimbursements, as well as the $7 million that we expect to, in a loan that we expect to give to Global City for the workforce housing over on MLK and Tennessee Street. So that's where those numbers are reflected. And so we have about $2 million that is that can be allocated in the future. And so that's really where we are right now. Again, there's going to be movement based on what we'll end up seeing over the next couple of months. We have several meetings with both the DRC and the CAC where new projects will be presented to them. So if those are approved or recommended for approval, they'll be shown to you all at our August meeting. So we're asking for acceptance of this budget review.
Okay. Do we have any questions regarding the projected budget for 2026?
Move acceptance.
Okay, and I will second that. I'm sorry, Director Porter, do you have any questions or comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So the motion has been made by Director Matlow, and I've seconded that motion. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right. We have already done the non-agenda items, and so at this point, we're at the CRA Board Information and Sharing of Ideas. And let me, because I don't want to forget, let me add something real quick. And I know that we had a speaker to speak about Springfield, and I guess the way I'm understanding it, it seems that part of Springfield is in the CRA and part of it is not.
And just for clarification, I believe the vacant land that they own is in the CRA, but the apartments themselves are outside of the CRA. So the adjacent property that they own is in, but the actual buildings are out.
So the request that we heard today was to consider bringing the apartments into the CRA.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll tell you that and it's a noble ask, but I have great concern because Griffin Heights has been asking us to do something very similar for a long time. And what we ended up doing is actually finding money in the city budget to provide to Griffin Heights to do their Neighborhood First plan, and without expanding the CRA district. It took Commissioner Richardson a very, very long time to expand the CRA district to get South City in. And I'm big on not setting a precedence that we can't keep up. And I'm also big on not cherry picking who we honor requests for. So we weren't able to do it for Griffin Heights, so we didn't do it for Griffin Heights. It's gonna be very, very hard for me to support doing it for Springfield. So I'm hoping that the project will be completed by finding other sources of funding like we have done with, in collaboration with the county. The city has done with the county to help bring that project in for a landing. And that's kind of where I am right now. My colleagues, if you want to weigh in or say something.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question for staff. I thought I heard the representative from the city attorney's office say that we couldn't expand the boundaries of the CRA at this point. Did I misunderstand that?
So, Madam Chair, the CRA could be expanded. There's a number of procedural steps. One, you have an interlocal agreement with Leon County, so the county would have to agree. Then there's a process where there's a finding of necessity, and the city commission actually expands the boundaries. But there's a number of steps that would be required for an expansion of the district.
And given the flavor, the attitude, the whatever is going on across the street, that would just draw more attention. And if next year, if we survive this year, next year they might take it up, and then we'll be out of gas again. And we already have commitments to Providence in South City that we're trying to get going, because if they change their minds across the street this year, we won't be able to do South City. So I think in my mind, we need to deal with what we have on our plate right now before we look at adding more to it. And I hope that we understand that that's kind of where we are right now. We don't know where we're going until the governor signs the budget for this year, and then next year is a whole nother game altogether. So that's where I am right now. And I'm not asking anybody for a decision. I'm just saying that that's where I am right now.
So, Madam Chair, if I can just clarify, if I understand it, one of the legislative items that they're looking at would prevent expansion. So I believe that that's something before the legislature. Under your current system, there is the prospect for an expansion, but this is one of the topics that the legislature is currently looking at.
Right. Okay, that's that. And then the other item that I have is on the south side, on Orange Avenue, we have two major projects going on. And in the middle of those major projects, there are some businesses that could really use some, and it's in the CRA, that could really use some from my look, some facade improvements. I would ask that we would either step up our efforts to go out and try to get them to help us help them, because it's going to look really, really strange with those two beautiful new entities that are over there, the park and the South Side Transit Facility, and to have these eyesores sitting in the middle of that. So if we can, whatever we need to do, we're gonna go knock on the door and call somebody or whatever to see if we can't get them to accept some assistance to bring it up to par to match the energy that's going on just east of them or across the street from them. Is what I would hope that we could do.
Yes, ma'am. We'll continue our effort. We have reached out to all of the property owners, asking them if they are interested in any assistance, telling them about our programs. We're just waiting for them to apply. So, yes, ma'am. We have actively pursued several businesses and asked them to look into applying, and we're just waiting for them to apply.
Okay, and I'm going to add this because right along that same line is that old Lindy's. I know someone has purchased it, and I know that there's some talk or plan for what it could become. But if for whatever reason it does not become that, I will hope that we would take a look at what we could, as CRA, could possibly do to help there as well. Just to make everything kind of fit and look good. Clear up the blight. Basically, our basic premise. Mr. Mayor, you have anything?
I do. Yes, ma'am. Counselor, can I ask you a couple questions again real quick? That was a great presentation you gave earlier. By the way, everybody that presented today did a fantastic job. Thank you. The Freight Yard presentation was great. The Florida Lee presentation was great as well. So I'm really conscious of what you said in regards to the legislative briefing and what's going on. And I want to underscore the importance of the monumental potential votes that could be taken in the legislature and signed into law. If I heard you correctly, and I understand, the bills that were presented technically would be the beginning of the end of a CRA. And if that legislation did happen to go through as drafted and was signed into law, that means that as of July 1 of this year, there would be no new projects for the near life of the CRA, meaning everything that we are working on right now would be it, correct?
Yes, Vice Chair, if the House's language is what was adopted.
Because that language is no longer moving forward because of where we are in the session. However, it has been attached to part of the budget negotiations that are going on. There is still the potential for that to be a bargaining piece while the president, the speaker, and the governor are moving forward, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
In a worst-case scenario, that language can still technically pass, meaning that July 1 would be the beginning of the end of CRAs in the state of Florida as we know it.
That's correct.
Okay. Regardless, the conversation has begun. And if action is not taken, Madam Chair, I agree with you. If it doesn't happen this year, I believe that there will probably be action of some type next year. So my point, thank you. My point is, now that we're all on the same page and thinking, I am concerned about moving forward in any future projects that we may want to consider. An unusual ask, putting a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but I would ask, Madam Chair, that we give serious thought to future projects. I have a couple I want to bring up in just a second. However, as we move forward and council is monitoring what's going on, if it looks like that the CRA is going to be impacted, and we have till July 1, literally, to get anything in the pipeline for the future of the rest of the CRA, it might behoove you as chair to work with Stephen and call a meeting in the next couple of weeks so that we can have that discussion. Otherwise, we do not have a meeting scheduled, and we will miss that opportunity if legislation is passed. Now, again, this is a doomsday scenario that might come out. But I think that it's worth thinking about, Madam Chair, if it passes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something.
That's it. Now, with that being said, there's 3 projects in particular that I would like to have us consider and possibly bring back for consideration. Number 1, we heard testimony about the MDL property on Gaines and Lorraine. I think that is a prime redevelopment opportunity in part of College Town. We have taken significant steps moving forward. I know that it was rejected, and I wasn't part of the process for direct subsidy, and probably appropriately so. I don't know what the application was. I do think it is worth taking a second look through the lens of tax abatement to see if there is something that we can positively incentivize the redevelopment of that property. Just want to put that out there. Number 2, Madam Chair, a couple of years ago, under your leadership, you brought forth a few great ideas regarding the old Ashmore site. I was part of the movement to kind of pump the brakes on that. And I am here to tell you that I would love for you to work on that vision again and bring that back before this body so that we can have a conversation of what the Ashmore property, which I still think is a prime opportunity for redevelopment as well in the heart of Frenchtown. And if you wouldn't mind giving some thought and working with the executive director and bringing back an item for some type of consideration, I think that that would be appropriate. Number 3, and finally, I know that when we had the presentation regarding the Fleur-de-Lis Monument, it also, the map was great, and I forgot, quite frankly, that both the city and the CRA owns parcels on that corner, in particular 604 and 608 Old Bainbridge, and I believe 518 Georgia Street. With everything that's going on in the legislature, and with the possible significant impacts to CRAs moving forward, I think that time is of the essence for us to do a complete review of all CRA-owned properties and the potential for affordable housing development on those properties. For instance, when we looked at that map right there, Commissioner Matlow, of 604 and 608, I see an incredible opportunity for us to partner with some of our existing partners, Urban League or whoever it may be, to build housing. What I'm saying is that it sounds like that the next what could be a couple of weeks or what could be the next year or 2 years. It's going to be incumbent upon us to take action as a CRA board, or we might miss this opportunity depending on what the Florida legislature and the governor decide to do moving forward. That's all my comments.
Thank you. They're very well taken. As a matter of fact, Stephen, when I was talking about the properties on Orange Avenue and the Lindy's, CRA has some lots up on South Monroe Street
Yes, on Wallace.
that were traded in for funding for CarePoint.
Yes, ma'am.
Way back when. You know, and we've had some talk about it through a period of time, but I think what the mayor is saying is that we do need to have a good inventory of the lots and plots and whatever that we own, so we can figure out how to move forward and get them activated. I know that on those particular ones, there's some things that is a part of the agreement that could not exist there. And if we have some of those where there's some restrictions on some of these lots, I think along with the inventory of what we have in the CRA, any restrictions as well, because as we begin to, we're looking at infilling in our comp plan, in the city's comp plan, city and county comp plan. I think it's going to be important to know what are some of the CRA possibilities to help with some of the infill that we're doing. Also with the potential for FAMU expanding on the south end, that there may be some opportunity to do some collaboration or something there as well. So I think it's very well, the point is well taken, and as far as Ashmore is concerned, you know, I got beat up so bad about that Ashmore, I just kind of washed my hands of it, but I do believe that it can still happen.
Absolutely.
And I do know that in the Neighborhood First Plan, there was money allocated, I think like $1 million allocated in the Neighborhood First Plan for Ashmore. And I would like to know and see what can we do to move that forward, to provide, again, energy and synergy in that area near where the monument is going to be. So creating some community attractions to bring people there, not only to see the monument, but also to see the museum and what can be done. I know parking is going to be a challenge, and that'll be something that we will need to work on and see what we can get done. So, yeah. Point well taken. And for these things that the mayor has brought forward, if we think that we need a motion to do that, we go ahead and let's do that so that we can get staff focused and working on this to bring it back to us. And I also want to set a date. So if we need to meet, we already have a date set for us to meet in the next month, once the legislature does what they do. And I don't know when they're supposed to be going home. I read something about some extension to the end of June, and you know, I just don't know where that's going, but we probably need to go ahead and get us a target date to do something, and it might not be till July. I mean, I hate that, but it might not be till July, but we've got to be ready to pounce depending on what happens. And if they leave us alone, then we won't have to meet. We'll just wait till August. So, all right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're going to do a motion?
Do you want motions?
Yes, please.
Okay, if I could, let me make 3 motions to keep it simple.
Okay.
First item I brought back was a reconsideration of the MDL proposal at Gaines and Lorraine.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Director Matlow.
Respectfully, I can't support this one, and I appreciate the intent for investment in the district, but I do think, you know, we're at the late stage of the CRA, particularly on the Gaines Street, Collegetown area. The intent of offering tax incentives was to create the district that would allow for market conditions to be profitable in redevelopment. I think the last several student housing complexes we've seen develop along the corridor didn't seek CRA assistance, didn't seek CRA tax incentives, and I think that speaks to the success of what we've done there by investing in the public infrastructure, by laying the groundwork for the first large-scale student housing developments to emerge. And what we've created is an area that market rate rents for student housing are the highest they are in the entire city. The properties along that area, it's cost feasible to build and develop without any type of tax incentive or direct investment from the CRA. I believe those developments will continue with or without our support, but I don't think we should offer up tax incentives in an area where we've already been successful. We've already done that. We should look to other areas of the CRA that still need more redevelopment. So respectfully, I can't support bringing that one back.
I appreciate that. Now, what as I understand the motion is just to ask staff to work with him, but there's nothing to prevent him from coming to the DRC and presenting his proposal, because today we got 3 minutes of something that we don't know a whole lot about. So he can still go to the DRC and present his proposal and let the DRC evaluate and do what need to be done there. And so if we're, 'cause there's only 4 of us, and so if you're not going to support the motion is not going to carry, but I still think that he can still take his proposal to the DRC and pitch to the DRC and let the DRC decide and make a recommendation to us, and then we can vote on whether to, he's not asking for money, he's asking for, you know, a tax break for a period of time, and so I think that's where I am. So Mr. Mayor, it sounds like the motion won't move forward, so
Understood.
if you will just withdraw it,
Okay.
and I'll withdraw my second,
Okay.
and we'll work in that direction. Okay?
I would encourage then representatives of MDL to go back to the DRC through a different lens. All right, I would like to make a motion that the chair work with staff to bring back, once again, the vision for Ashmore's in a plan of action.
And I'll second that motion and accept that challenge. That mission.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. Yeah. Okay, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All right, any opposed? Thank you.
Third motion is for staff to bring back in an expedited manner a complete inventory of potentially developable CRA land that is owned with an action plan to move forward.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second that CRA staff will bring back an inventory of developable lots with an action plan. All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
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 And is that with a focus on housing? Okay.
And then finally, Madam Chair, you do not need a motion. You have the power of the chair to call a meeting in June if we need it. I appreciate our legal team and Stephen monitoring what's going on in the legislature, and heaven forbid we need to have that meeting. We'll follow your direction, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. We have our next city commission meeting on June 11th.
Right.
And so
That morning.
we could do the morning of the 11th, or we could do the next day, the 12th,
Question is if they will
if they'll be
be
finished.
done by then.
Yeah. So pending monitoring of the action across the street, we could have a tentative meeting set for the morning of, let's make it June 12th.
Sure.
The morning of June 12th. And if they're not finished, let's go ahead and look at a July date.
It would have to be done before July 1, correct? As currently written.
The legislative session would need to be, well, yeah, but they do what they want, so.
Would have until October 1st to initiate new projects or issue new debts. But again, things like boundaries and stuff, that would all go into effect July 1. And
Okay, so with that being said, do we really need to do a meeting in July?
So I'm confused. I want to make sure, Madam Chair.
Yeah, please.
Boundary language would go into effect July 1. New project language, technically as written, of course it could change, technically as written would not go into effect until the beginning of the fiscal year.
Yes, so that is correct. So the law will go into effect July 1st as written with the House version, and then that law provides that no new projects can be initiated or new debt issued after October 1st of this year.
Okay. You are correct, Madam Chair. That gives us greater flexibility. However, in today's environment,
Yeah.
let's
It's
remain
right.
nimble, depending on what comes out of session and how that impacts.
So let's keep the tentative date of June 12th. And then let's look at, I really want to not do anything in July if we can
Correct.
do so. I think our regularly scheduled next meeting is August
21st.
August 21st? Okay, so then we can just keep that date down. So the June 11th, the June 12th date will be in case we need it. Okay? We're all in agreement with any issues with that? Anybody doing an extensive travel in June that, you're leaving right after the commission meeting? I hope not me. Okay, all right. All right, Commissioner, Director Matlow, do you have any?
No, nothing for me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Director Porter? You have
Nothing for
anything you
me.
want to share? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Nothing for me, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Having handled all of the business that we need to handle for the CRA, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Great meeting.